80% of success stories come from self-belief. The young man I have on the show has proved that by all means. You know, the importance of art is to shift us into a different world, you know, a world of belief, a world of, you know, different dimensions. The person I have is so genuine and is trying so much to push our art from a local scene to a much vibrant one. He uses art actually as a tool of social justice. When he was coming here on the show, I told him that, hey, listen, people need to understand who an artist is, because when somebody's an artist, they are free. You don't even understand what is going on into their mind when they're creating a piece, because they're always, I feel like art comes from a happy place. So with no further ado, allow me to introduce to you a gentleman that is defining all means and, you know, shaping this art industry in all dimensions. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the incredible KWIZ ERA Alex on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Drago.
I can use so much words to describe what you do and the kind of person you are, because you're an interesting character. How does it feel to be gifted by God, you know, to have the ability to co-create things, put them in existence through your hands? How does that feel? I mean, explain that power.
It's a fantastic question. How does it feel to be a co-creator? It's an extension of the hand of God, if you ask me. It is the biggest of honors, you know. People are born into, out of this world to be very many things. But as a little boy, I kind of picked on my craft as a maker of small, tiny little things. Mine was visual. So I am honored and humbled to be given a gift as this, to be a co-creator. You know, it is as humbling as I can state it.
When I was doing the introduction, if you notice, I left out a key things. Like, for example, KWIZ ERA. If somebody gives you an opportunity to describe yourself as an artist, what kind of artist are you?
Well, to be basic in the terms that are descriptive of art disciplines, I am two in one. I'm a visual artist, but I am a painter and an illustrator. Those are two disciplines by a credit of what art education is. Basically, a painter is a more free. By introduction, you said, you are free of expression. As a painter, you have the liberty to play with material. You can gather leaves and stick them here, collage them with color. That's the freedom that is of painting, using pigment to come up with something that can be visually perceived. But as an illustrator, there's a little bit of obligation there. Illustration is an extract from communication design. That's a simple way of saying it is pictures that are community targeted. So I envision myself in your shoes, in those people's shoes, to come up with a picture that is more simplified than a painting. A painting is more free. You've had people sell stones stuck on canvas for $1 million. You know, painters are that free. Illustration is more audience targeted.
Every success comes from somewhere. As a child, I read some of the few things about you, as rebellious as you were growing up. Teachers wondering why your books are, you know, becoming so full, as quicker than anyone else's, because they had pictures, hidden pictures. I mean, tell me about your life growing up and how you actually came to convince your parents to venture on that.
Talking about my parents, half the honor, you know, after God goes to them. There are a few parents, through the stigma of being artists, you know, they told us all sorts of things. You never amount to much. Huh? What kind of career is that, where you have to climb up on the wall and make letters? You say that's what you want to be. Children were singing, oh, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. You know, you go line, you in circle singing, what do you want to be when you grow up? Those were children rhymes. But you never had one say, oh, I want to be an artist when I grow up. We were also cornered to say the same. I wanted to be a pilot. It was almost like a template. Growing up as a little boy in southwestern Uganda, where inspiration is free, the place is serene to the core, you know, full of language and norms that are inspired by.
Wait, you talk like a poet.
Wow.
Have you ever done literature before?
In the past,
Lois, you guys, are you noticing something here? There is a pattern in the way how he's talking, as if he's making, you know, you're juggling words.
It's humbling.
You're making up stuff.
It's humbling to hear, really.
Yeah.
You know, but as growing up as a little boy,
Yeah.
sculpting all sorts of things out of wire, out of clay, out of boxes of empty box tins of Kimbo and stuff like that. Adding their wheels to make cars out of them, just to bring joy to what a child really is. I was a co-creator from the start.
Yeah.
From scribbles off the wall, you know, where my mother didn't like it so much. You talk about my folks, why I give them so much grace and so much appreciation. I reached an extent where my mother had to sculpt for me, make me a cabin, you know, that now you can't put your toys, your whatever she called them, your clay work, your wire work, your mess. Now you can keep it here, not in the ventilator, where I hid everything, not under the bed. That is acceptance, you know, from a tender age.
So how did they come to abide? How did they come to accept the fact that you are an artist?
So in the later stage, of course, they go about asking, do these things work really? You know, they don't know a lot of artists around. It is a path you have chosen, or that has chosen you, that they are not even very familiar with. At the later stage, when I am picked on by a paper like Monitor, to come and be an illustrator there, or they start seeing your drawings in the paper. Oh, so this man's little cartoons, nonsensical drawings really do stand for something. That is acceptance. They start acknowledging what you do, and yeah, by all the grace that it embodies.
Besides your parents, because I know at a later stage they came to actually accept it and support you. Who else supported you? I mean,
as
growing
an artist,
up and having a grip into this industry.
Growing up as an artist, you don't really work by yourself. Yeah? There's a lot of forces that are around it. First of all, God has enabled you. Secondly, you have almost what you can call guardian angels. You know, people that help you graduate from one stage of education to another by enabling you with scholarships. I come from Kabale to Nalia on a scholarship by my sport, you know, as a basketballer too.
I saw the height.
Being hands-on here and there are many silent forces that have been very influential from many artists that we grew up seeing. Sajabi, who was a teacher in Chigezi, who looked like he had arrived somewhere from the level we were at. You know, he was highly inspirational in the work he was making, to all sorts of inspiration around, really.
KWIZ ERA, later on I'll ask you how you've actually thrived your brand, because maintaining a brand is something complicated. But how your art is different. Your art is different from the rest, because most of it has social justice. Can somebody ever use the word civil rights activist with you? Are you a civil rights activist?
I am a human rights activist by all means. Art in its nature is of activism.
Wait, are you saying somebody has a right to be a human rights activist as long as they're an artist? Because some can choose to draw some other things.
Absolutely. You see, when you are talented and in many ways you have the ability to scout things that can influence a bigger gathering of people. As God states, like the parable of the talents, God gives you a talent. What you have to do with it is entirely up to you. I believe as an artist, it is an obligation that you do not only stand for yourself, but stand for people.
Have to give.
it's derived from sharing, really.
Yeah.
So how can you share and share what is selfish?
I will use one of your pictures or one of your art pieces. There was one vivid one that circulated everywhere of Bobby Wine, our current president, Yoweri Kaguta, looking at himself in a mirror, but only to see Bobby Wine, but all in some sort of fatigue after years. I mean, do you ever speak out politically sometime?
Do I, as an illustrator, I am a political commentary artist. That is a simple way of saying you have no choice but comment on the state affairs. Art is supposed to document the times, my friend Dragu. If it is not talking about what times we are in, really, art has lost its sense. You don't create art and all you talk about is yourself, things that please you. There are people whose grievances need to be addressed. So it is an obligation for you as a creative, because it almost comes so easy for you, but it is so powerful. So that image of our president looking at himself, and the reflection seems to be of a younger Bobby Wine, is symbolic of the times before the 86. You know, when 70 was,
we all know the history.
yeah, we all know the history.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is an element of the times really changing. He almost grabbed him off guard. This is a young man that stands for something, changed from the lowest level, and sees himself, has elevated himself to a stage of leadership like that. You must admit it has to shake you somehow. So if you look into the mirror too long, the image might scare you.
Listen, KWIZ ERA, I have this intuition that this is going to be a more in-depth interview because, man, you can speak. You can talk. And I've told you this before the interview that most artists have had that as a weakness. They can't speak for their art. But you are gifted since you did a bit of literature. Now, we are going to take a break. I'm still here with the sensational artist himself, KWIZ ERA. Alex, I know you guys are familiar with his work. You guys have seen him before. But listen, there's going to be a twist. This young man is not only an artist, he actually is now an author. He's an author of this incredible book that says African Proverbs on Generosity, right? Absolutely. Illustrated by KWIZ ERA. It's more of a pictorial, but it captures all, it says it captures all most of our African proverbs. So don't go anywhere. Don't miss out on all that. Stay tuned. This is Chilling on UBC Television. Now, follow us on all socials. Go on Facebook. Watch us live on Facebook. Tweet at us. And then also subscribe on our YouTube channel to catch all these interviews. All right, now, thank you very much for staying glued on the best of the good life. Now, we are joined by a young lady who is going to talk about herself and what she, how they come to affiliate with Mr. KWIZ ERA. KWIZ ERA is a brand that you guys have seen. You've seen his work. He's so talented. He's so talented, and he doesn't, keep shy at speaking at some of the key political things with his art. Now, the young lady joining us, talk about this organization and this fund, because KWIZ ERA told me it was so vital for you to be part of this interview because you've been helpful. You've helped some artists thrive and push their work. It can't, I wouldn't say only financially, but other aspects. So what do you do and what are you doing here?
Thank you. So my name is Rehema Twine, and I am a lawyer by profession. I work with Kuonyesha Art Fund as an associate support. And Kuonyesha Art Fund is a fund running its pilot phase for the very first time, and it's dedicated to supporting artists in Uganda. We operate in 3 regions, that's Kampala, Gulu, and Karamoja. And the major purpose of the fund is to support artists and their work, and also encourage them to steer it to identify with the social and political atmosphere in our country today. So what we did was look at someone's talent on one hand, but also how the impact it has on society. Because at the end of the day, it's not just KWIZ ERA as an artist on one end, but it's us, the people in society, that enjoy his work. So we have to see how it relates to our work, how it identifies with what people are going through, what message you want society to receive in the form of art. I mean, even as we get tired of reading books, you read and read the letters. So we'd like to get these messages in other forms, and art seemed like the most viable option, but also something that has not been supported originally by very many people. That funds come, they support different things, which is also very good, but we've left out the artists that actually bring out art in the African context, in the Ugandan context, talking about what Uganda is and what perhaps we'd want it to be. And so
tell
far,
me honestly,
that's
how has it been working with this young man? How has it been? How has it been, like, the journey?
It has been a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
For one, I told you I'm a lawyer by profession, so it was also
You know,
a
he's
learning.
not scared to speak through his art, right?
No, he is not. So for me, it was always saying, oh, this is actually what they can do with the art. This is because you look at something and it tells the story, just the painting. You don't need KWIZ ERA to tell you that this is what I intended to say, but everything is just there in one painting. So for me, it has been a very intriguing learning experience, but also a very clear way of reaching out to all the stakeholders we'd want to reach out with different messages.
Well, listen, Rehema, is it?
Yes,
I would love to salute you and thank you for your incredible input or support you've given these brothers, because first of all, there's a stereotype and people, Ugandans don't really embrace art.
Yeah.
Speaking of success stories, we've had this product. Can you tell me more about this? Let me start with KWIZ ERA. What brought the idea of coming up with a book, and you too busy with your art to do this?
Too busy.
Yeah.
Too busy, you can never be.
Tell me about the African proverbs.
You can never be too busy to do an important job.
Yeah.
From a tweet from an organization called SIFSOS, the one in charge of the fund, of Twitter, that I acknowledge and say, you see, growing up, I always wanted to do a job like this, from a PDF of proverbs.
That's the inspiration it came from?
Absolutely. From just that, you know, inspiration is bigger. And Africa as a whole has so much to give, you know. African proverbs being souvenired. Children now are watching TV. You see, TV has become the new storyteller. So if we can't souvenir the stories of our forefathers, where
it has also become a problem.
Absolutely.
Because TV, everything. Now, I feel like we are losing the grip of television. How the censorship, what comes on TV, what is not supposed to come on TV. The ratings are becoming more ridiculous. You see a rated 16 movie, but
it has content that does not benefit us as a people. So from round fires, us growing up, generations are shifting from round fires to TV stands. We have no choice but souvenir the knowledge that we embody from our foremothers and our forefathers, the ways that we called ours, before we can let Europe come and teach us very many ways.
I'm going to let Lawrence have a close-up of this. You guys have to buy this book, which I'll tell you how to get in touch with this. Omanyo Luganda. Rehema, Omanyo Luganda. Zino zengero ze twakulirako.
Zezo.
Nga tutudde ku kisiki ky'omuliro.
What makes it special is that it's not only from the Luganda perspective, that it is
an all-African.
It is an all-African book that brings together all proverbs from all regions. So there are those that you'll see, and they are from Buganda, there are those that are from Ankole, there are those that are from the north.
Some from Egypt, some from Ghana, but specifically about giving. Generosity as an element in our ways as Africans.
Much work has been put into all this? I mean, research, work, stuff like that. Must be a lot.
It has been a lot. It has been a lot.
Listen, people might look at the size of this Nebazarawa. People might look at the fonts and all these, but listen, a book takes time. How long has it taken you, brothers, to come up with this?
The execution bit is always the easier part. The organization had the conceptual stages of collecting these proverbs, which was regional and move around by editorial, picking and selecting, zeroing down, scripting it out. Even then, before it is brought to my table as an illustrator to visualize it. Even from then, there are very many ways. After you have a product, it has to be thought through, distribution channels. How do we get this message out there? Yeah, so for work, it has been quite a deal of work.
Rehema, you talked about a certain fund.
Yes.
One would want to find out, where does this money come from? Is it from the government? Because definitely it doesn't come from the government.
No.
I've never heard of a government say that we have created a certain fund, or we have created a certain group of people to maybe to vet the quality of your art pieces or something. There isn't any structures there. Where does the money come from?
Thank you. So, like we've said, CIFSOS Africa is the host organization. So that is our primary source of the support, that it puts together the staff, the resources to make the fund move. But we also work with support organizations, and that is Robert Bosch and Dune. So these are international donors, and we partner with them, and they provide the funds, but we do the work. We work with the artists, and this enables us to work with the artists, with the flexibilities of our environment, that someone out there is not dictating that I need this done in this particular way. So we know that when you're working with KWIZ ERA in Kampala, this is what we have set out to do. If we tell him to send a scanned application, he's going to be able to send it. If we tell him to send photos of his work, he's going to send them. People in Karamoja, on the other hand, will have to go there physically and pick the physical application forms. We scan them ourselves. We support them even in the implementation process, that this is equip them with some basic bookkeeping skills, record management, so that when you come back to see the progress and the accountability, it is in place. Because sometimes it might not be in place, not because the person ate the money, but because they did not know what to do. So our partners allow us that flexibility, that even when COVID came in, we were constrained in more ways than one, but we were able to adjust accordingly, that Kampala, we could still do virtual meetings, keep in touch with these people. But areas like Karamoja and Gulu, we could not travel until they allowed us to. And then they said, you know, this is a border country, a border district, you'll need some more time. And yes, so the fund has been flexible, but also to that extent, because of the external environment, but also internally, appreciating that artists have their strengths and weaknesses, that they have a talent that they can visualize for us to enjoy, but they are not fans of the writing bit.
Listen, this is becoming more sweet and juicier. I love great conversation. I love extracting great conversation from people that are doing great things. All right, now, Lois, agree with me on this one. We are going to shift this episode to another week. Let's make 2 instead of 1. So we shall be joining you guys another week with another incredible episode with these 2 great people, Rehema from
CIFSOS Africa.
CIFSOS Africa, and of course the famous KWIZ ERA Alex himself, the illustrator and painter. So please keep time. Mukwato obudde tujja kola roll call. Join us next week, the same time, the same space, and follow these people. How can people follow you?
KWIZ ERA, KWIZ space ERA, derived from my name, KWIZ ERA. Everywhere on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, KWIZ space ERA. You will find pictures. That will be me.
What about Rehema?
Well, CIFSOS Africa is available on Twitter. Kuonyesha Art Fund is available on Twitter, Facebook, and We've documented some of the work of the artists we are working with on YouTube, so please feel free to check out some of the videos of the different artists. You might be interested in their work and you did not know it exists in Uganda. That is how rich we are, but we never find out because these things are not documented. So Kuonyesha Art Fund on Twitter, Facebook, and a YouTube channel.
You know, it will be so unfair for me to just end this with just one episode. I don't usually host two people who have too much content. Now, him, you just, hey, before you came here, I mean, joined us on set, we are conversing something that we didn't even finish. So we are going to have an extension episode for this show. So catch you guys later.
From my background as a lawyer, what else would I be interested in when I talk about KWIZ ERA's work? Copyright, intellectual property. Is it something that we've taken serious as a country? No.